You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all.
There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. This is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever The secret is whenever. The secret is together we are.
Good morning. We're so glad to have you here. Welcome to CSL St. George Sunday service in September. I can't believe it's September. And this month, we're going to be living out loud. But first, welcome. Who are we? We're an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. So let me introduce the service team today. We have Marina Anderson behind the scenes. She is our tech star, making sure everything runs smoothly and beautifully. My name is Gwen Hadley. I'll be hosting and providing a reading in just a little bit. We have our multi-talented singer-songwriter, Alan Stanley, in the house with us today. So always such a pleasure. And we have our own practitioner, Star Starlet, who will be giving our invocation, and our senior minister, we have Joe Kovach. So that's our lineup for today. So Alan, I'm going to invite you to come up, and you're going to be singing one of my favorite Michael Gott songs.
Well, that's great, Gwen. I'm glad you like it. It's I got to think I'm living out loud. And now I'm going to sing this choir. This is a wonderful song. Please sing along. We'll sing a few verses, and then we'll have the invocation, and we'll come back on and sing some more. So sit back, relax, and at least hum along here. I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Yes, thank you, Alan. That's beautiful. Okay, everyone, I invite you to just take a deep breath. Either close your eyes or not. I will be speaking in first person, knowing the truth that we are all one. So right here, right now, there is this one mind I call God. And in this presence, I recognize that there is only love. And in that love is also encompasses self-love, which is what this service is about today. And so bypassing nothing, I am totally accepting of everything that happens in, through, for, and as me. As I let go and I let the divine work its miracles through me, showing me exactly what is mine to do this day. And so trusting in this source, trusting in the knowledge that it knows everything, and I can rely on it fully and completely. I bless this service and know that this self-love talk is going to be beautiful for everyone who is listening. There is a spark of intelligence in this talk that will ignite that awakening within whoever needs to hear what needs to be said is going to be said. And so I release it into the law, knowing that the law works perfectly on my behalf. And because of that, it works on behalf of everyone's. I say yes. I say yes to everything. And so I release it. I let it go. As together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Star. I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind. And I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know I will make a quiet place within my life. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place. I will make a quiet place. Now I would like to welcome Gwen back to do our reading today.
I was singing with you, Alan. Did you hear me?
Thank you. I heard you. You kept me right on pitch.
Good, good. So when I was preparing my reading, I went to Science of Mind magazine because I always can find inspiration there, but I just didn't feel it. So I thought, well, let's go out with good old Google and see what's up. So I searched, and what I found, again, because Love Out Loud is this month's topic, I found a blog by Lisa Ellie, and her post was entitled Love Out Loud. So I thought, okay. So what Lisa says is, love is an action word. What does it mean to love out loud? The meaning might be a little different for everyone, but for me, to live out loud means to live boldly, freely, and to give yourself away to make deposits to others. Withdraw your love like savings and spend it like your love has a bottomless supply. When you spend love on others, your account will never be overdrawn, because the more of it you give, the more of it will manifest. When you love out loud, you inspire others to do the same. Love is about giving without expecting anything in return. And some short quotes. The first one is by Bella Bloom, and she says, let us love out loud every chance we get, believe in everything we feel, and have faith with where we are. And our old friend Victor Hugo, he says, the greatest happiness of life is the conviction from that we are loved for ourselves, or rather sometimes loved in spite of ourselves. And last, a quote from Alex Ellie. Continue to love out loud, even when you feel like the world is trying to silence you. And so I say, let your passions and voices be heard boldly and freely. Namaste.
Namaste. I love. You may remember the song. Sing along, please. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me, nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I am. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. If I feel the love inside of me, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can plainly see that all the things I judge are done by people like me. So I love the world only love can bring, and I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. The change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I am. And I love myself just the way I am. Oh, I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am.
Loved the guitar. It had
Thank you, Gwen.
an old rock and roll vibe to it. A ballad. Thank you.
Under the boardwalk. That's
Exactly.
what
That's what I was feeling.
Eugene said.
So now it's my pleasure to invite Reverend Joe to speak to us. Living Out Loud, as I said, in September, Loving Out Loud. And today's talk, I Love Myself So Much. Welcome, Reverend Joe.
Good morning, Gwen. That's a great reading choice you had today. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And Alan's music's been spot on, yeah?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. And good morning, community. How are you? It is September already. Feeling it. And in the area that I live, Las Vegas, and I know up in St. George area, we've been getting some water, which is a nice change, a nice relief for our environment. So that's been a wonderful thing. And I want to remind everybody that next week we get to meet in person. So please book that on your calendar to meet us over at the Masonic Lodge for our temporary quarters there. And looking forward to seeing you. It's always a lovely energy being in person, feeling that love, that joy that we're talking about out loud in person. And Love. Let's just sit with that for a minute, because that word for many could be a trigger word. And for many, it has so many different meanings, right? I can say I love out loud. And what does that mean? I can love a TV show. I can love my favorite flavor, right? I can love my spouse. I can love my children. So many different ideas of love. But what we're talking about, particularly in Science of Mind, when we use the word love, we believe it's synonymous with the word God and spirit or source, that God is all there is, and therefore love must be all there is. And saying that in this time-space reality that we live in, it can be a challenging thing. I'll just say, just challenging viewpoint on a daily basis to see that everything is love expressing when there's wars still going on. There's still people being violent and hateful to each other. There's seems to be sometimes more division than a sense of unity, and to just declare and believe that it is love in action, when often we would call it darkness. And when I say this is my viewpoint, and I know it's not all the time. There are moments and days when I wake up and I am just one with everything that's going on, and I'm feeling that love, and I'm feeling the expression of that everywhere I go. And I want to remind ourselves that it is us, in essence, that individually that determine how much love we love out loud and how much love we receive. And that's really the journey, isn't it? So obviously we enjoy love and being loved. We enjoy the experience of being, having others love us and offering love to other people. But yet that all starts with, again, loving ourselves. That was a great song that Alan chose. It's a classic for New Thought. The great Louise Hay took in and really used it to work miracles just by helping people love themselves, folks. I mean, if we actually have that love for ourselves, right? And I'm not talking about the love of my favorite, cookie, right? We're talking about that deep knowing of the divine presence. And when you feel that love, it's intermixed with like joy and peace. It's a vibration. And so as we live our lives, we want to be able to love ourselves, and then, of course, encourage others to love themselves. And by our choice to live love out loud, we kind of give them permission to do so. We give them, we model that behavior, and that's important. That's important to, we call them random acts of kindness. That shows people that love still exists, that there's nice people in the world, that we can trust one another, and we must be that. And we got to, we don't have to, but it's good to make that a regular habit of our lives. And the more we commit to that, I truly believe the more that we align ourselves with a deeper understanding and feeling and I'm going to say beingness of what we call that love of God in action. So let's dive a little deeper. Living, we are Centers for Spiritual Living, and we're a part of that, the organization. And living a spiritual life requires a conscious understanding and awareness that spirit or love expresses itself in and through us. That's how it does. So last week, I reminded us that there's no difference between who we are and what we call God, and that we are just that God in an expression of a physical form. And so we get to choose this life, and we get to choose how we live this life and how we show up. And by recognizing the divinity within ourselves, it helps us to recognize the divinity within others, which makes it easier to love. Now, I hear myself saying our divinity and divinity in others. I want to remind ourselves that's just our way of understanding that it's still all one God, all one spirit, all one life. We are holy. So the love that we feel is the love of what we would call God, and God is therefore everything. Remember, we're all on this big team together. No one's outside the team. And so the love that we feel, the love that we feel is the divine love. And we determine how much of that we embody. That's our choice. And that's really the work that we have is, well, I'm kind of share it, is removing the obstacles that we have to experiencing that love. Now, Ernest Holmes, our founder, he says, you belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. You are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There is something in you telling you this, like a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision, like a lighthouse whose origin no man has seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. And of course, we call this invisible source God. And it's there, and it's our choice. If we say, well, I don't feel love, I don't see love, like I mentioned earlier, it's us, our choice to tune in to that awareness. It's there. It's kind of like a radio station on the radio, and I want to hear a particular kind of music, but I can't hear it on my current channel. Then I have to turn the vibration to the right setting. And then, and as I get closer and closer, I can hear the static, I can kind of hear the music, and then there it is. And then I'm tuned in, tapped in, and turned on by what I want. And in essence, in simplicity, that's our daily really focus, is to tune into the things that we want to see and experience and be a part of. And love is always there at infinite levels. And yet, here we are, and we're experiencing love where we are. We're not making ourselves wrong, right? No one's making you wrong. Okay, so let's not dump on ourselves. Let's just understand where we are and get excited about the idea that there's more. And there's more. And I don't have to get there right now. I can be okay with where I'm at. Ernest Holmes further says this in Science of Mind. He says, ultimately, we shall see that the universe rests on the shoulder of love, that God is love, and that all the errors of man are the result of ignorance of his own true nature. An evolved soul judges no one, condemns no one, but realizes that all are on the road of experience, seeking the same goal, and that each must ultimately find his home in heaven. So I want to break this down a little bit. One, I want to bring out this idea of the result of ignorance of his, I'll say, or her true nature. So ignorance isn't making us wrong. It's simply that we're not aware of it, or we don't understand it fully, and therefore we're ignorant of how to use it. It's like electricity. The idea and the use of it was always there before we ever had an inkling of it, but we were ignorant of it. And then, it took us a while to understand it and study it and get it right so that we can use it to live freer, fuller lives. And so this is not Ernest Holmes bashing us. It's just basically stating that even now, myself, there's a level of love that I'm ignorant to. I'm not aware of it yet. And then he talks about an evolved soul. An evolved soul judges no one, condemns no one, but realizes that all are on the road of experience, seeking the same goal. So an evolved soul. When I hear that, I kind of get this idea that there's somewhere else I need to be, that I'm not there. And I don't want to give out that message, give out that vibration. I believe we're all evolved souls. It's just, where are we right now? And to continue, because life is ever expanding. It's an infinite journey. There's obviously no end. So we are evolved. We're evolved in this moment, and yet there is more. And so the more that we can reach a vibration of truly understanding divine love and oneness, then we would have no need to condemn, because God, the vibration of God and joy and love, why would it condemn? It knows itself as everyone and everything. So why would we bash ourselves, right? Why would God look down on any part of itself? Okay. And then the last part about this quote is seeking the same goal, that each must ultimately find his or her home in heaven. And in essence, one thing is what is that heaven word? It could be a trigger word. Is it a paradise? Is it an actual physical place? Is it a vibration? Is it a way of being? And then I even asked myself when I read this quote, well, is there really an end game to this? Right? If we're truly infinite and we're loving infinite and we have infinite joy, then do we ever really get there? And to me, I believe that this idea of us being in heaven, I'm going to take it in this moment as the recognition of our true divinity, that I recognize that this thing they call God, I'm able to release all the past histories of old men in the sky and other people's belief. And I tap into what I know as true love within myself. And then everywhere I go, I see it's just that vibration, that love, that energy playing itself out in this life. To me, that would be heaven, right? To recognize truly that people are just love in action. That is heaven for me. You get to decide what heaven is for you. So then how can we begin? We're talking about loving out loud. How do we begin to loving ourselves? Because that's the first step. And recognizing our true selves. And again, our true selves as that divine love. And I believe one of the best ways is tapping into and paying attention to our own intuition. Because through intuition, this is a way that spirit communicates with and through us. And we choose to listen to our intuition. It'll guide us always on the best and highest path, even though our human eyes and our ego may not see it as that. It keeps us in the flow of life and love. And it's if we listen to, if we go back and just think, we've all had these moments, right? Where it's like, oh, if I would have followed my intuition, because we realized the road that we chose maybe didn't work out as well. Now, I don't believe, again, I mentioned this last week, that it's like, oh, I picked the wrong path and I'm done for and there's no other. No, it's an infinite. We get infinite mulligans, and that's a golf term, do-overs, right? But I believe by tapping into that feeling of intuition, that nudge that Nurse Home talked about, that's trying to guide us, because it is us, right? It's a higher perspective of ourselves that knows, in a sense, better, has a different purview, and is saying, hey, walk this way, right? It's that presence within us that guides us. And this loving presence is always guiding. It's always on. It's like a radio channel that never turns off. It's always there. It's Ernest Holmes called it the lighthouse, right? That we don't know the source of, but it's always on. And we can always find our way in the darkness, meaning when we're not aware. That's what darkness is. We're unaware. And, intuition is the voice, to me, a voice of spirit speaking with us. And fully allowing ourselves to trust in intuition is a message to ourselves about loving ourselves, that, oh, I can trust that voice. That voice is my voice. That voice is the voice of spirit itself. And when I'm aligned with love, when I ground myself in love, I don't believe that presence, that voice, that guidance is ever, I'm going to use the word wrong, in the sense of not helping us get to where we want to be or what is for our best and highest good. Because sometimes, always, spirit knows better than we do. And we have to honor ourselves. And this is one of the best ways to do that, is to go, like, I'm going to trust myself. And my thing is set the intention with that intuition and say, okay, no matter what happens, I'm going to declare it as good, as life affirming. And as we continue, or we choose to do this, that again, we become the models for other people. No, I trust myself, and that it always works out. Even sometimes when I can't see it, or it takes a little while for it to demonstrate itself, we can allow others to begin to teach others to trust in themselves. And we don't have to do this necessarily in a purposeful way, right? Like I'm setting out to teach people. It's just by being who we are. The actor Alan Alda, I forgot, I skipped over this one. Yeah, intuition is spirit knowing itself. I skipped over that one. And what does this mean? So that feeling is spirit recognizing, oh, I feel that. Well, you are spirit. I am spirit. And that is the guidance from within a higher perspective. Okay. Doesn't make, and when I say higher, it doesn't make us wrong and it right, but it's guiding us because let's face it, when we feel better, the better we feel, it's a higher vibration, right? And when we don't, it's low and slow. Depression, frustration, it's lower. It's I'm going to use the word discombobulated. It's not as congruent. It's not as flowing. Okay, so let me get back to the next quote that I have from Alan Alda. He says, you have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness, of your intuition. What you'll discover will be wonderful. What you'll discover is yourself. And so it's important to understand that as we're trying to take on these new spiritual practices, it's going to be uncomfortable. And so there's that feeling. Anytime we do things that are different, it's uncomfortable. And the lesson there is it's only uncomfortable because we don't know, right? If we knew the outcome, we would already know what it feels like, good or bad. And so then it wouldn't be uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when we don't feel we have a choice or there's an unknown. And the best way to get through this is to continue to practice it. Work through that feeling, declaring all is well, continuing to tap into what we know is feeling better for us. It feels better to trust my intuition. Okay, then continue to do that. I mean, isn't it inspiring when we see someone follow their intuition and it turns out all good for them? And we kind of like, just like them, they're being a role model for us. So in the process of putting this talk together, I came across the statement that says, we were not born to fit in, we were born to stand out. And while it to me, that only stroked my ego, and I didn't really like that, but I understood the message. To me, the message in that is we're amazing, we're magnificent. But born to stand out, I don't know, I guess the depth of really what they were saying. Maybe best said is this idea is that we were born to be. To be what? Well, that is what we're deciding here. That is what we have the power to do, to choose, to be our best self in this moment. I want to love the most I can in this moment. I can't do anything about any other moment. I can't change the past. What I can do is be my best me right here and now. I can trust my intuition here and now. I could be a positive example for others here and now. I could be aware of others being their best selves here and now. Now, we're not talking about this idea of when conforming or uniformity, those things that we see of other methods in a sense of kind of like social control. And it's not a bad thing. We kind of have to go with the larger flow until we have that confidence of being our best self. And inherently, our unique identities will go with that flow of uniformity for a little while. And then we have our individual likes and dislikes, our discords and discomforts. And when we have this deep love for ourselves, then we're never feeling stuck. It's when we don't have that love for ourselves that there's things that pop up in our lives, our circumstances and events. And even though we're unsure, and we're not only unsure of it because we're unsure of ourselves, and we give the power to the circumstance instead of tapping into that divine love. And again, spirit love, God love is who you are. So again, why would we ever go through anything that would break that up? We can change our circumstances, particularly through love, right? Like the song says, all you need is love. It's a vibration, a positive vibration that changes things in the way to the level of love. And when we embrace who we are, we contribute to shifting our lives, shifting our communities into a loving state of being, into healthy communities, into positive examples of communities loving each, of what is it called? The beloved community, right? So we got to embrace ourselves as we love ourselves. It is a process, right? The seeds of love that we're planting today, they say, become the trees where generations of people ahead of us will enjoy the fruits of our love. And so that's inspiring in the sense, of course, that we're not always going to recognize instantaneously the love that we're giving out. Now, to me, the biggest obstacle of getting to this place of loving ourselves, again, which is foundational, we have to love ourselves before we can truly love anybody else. Think about it, right? I can't give you what I don't have for myself. And so judgment to me is one of the biggest obstacles. And of course, the key that I want to talk about to releasing ourselves from that judgment to our freedom is forgiveness. Forgiveness is an act of self-love. Let me say that again. Forgiveness is an act of self-love. Breathe it, right? I'm going to share a story in a minute about some self-love that I experienced. But Father Roger Teal says, forgiveness is one of the highest expressions of self-love. It is loving yourself enough to move out of that stuck place, to get out of that quicksand. It is taking all the energy devoted to fear and resentment and channeling it into something that is constructive, life-giving, and uplifting. Forgiveness is freeing yourself to get back to the higher agenda of your life, no longer tethered to the past. And that's all that keeps us stuck, is we keep having thoughts of what went wrong, why we're bad, the unforgivable. And if we hold on to that energy, then we will stay stuck. We will continue to repeat that process. It sounds so simple, right? I explain it to my students all the time. Whatever you're thinking is what shows up in your life. So if you're thinking I can't, if you're thinking I'm stuck, if you're thinking this is hard, if you're thinking that'll never happen, then life must show up in that way. That is God's love to us. What you're thinking and feeling is what shows up as evidence of I love you so much. Our job, it's not God's fault of what's showing up. It's we need to tune into the radio stations of that we want. So my point here is forgiveness is something we must be ready for, right? No one else can give it to us. I want you to forgive yourself for X. And what this reminds me of is I was raised Roman Catholic, and I used to go to confession, which is where we would talk to a priest and share our sins. And the priest at the end would say a prayer and then tell me that my sins were forgiven. And initially I would feel better. And I used to laugh because I'm like, I know, like he must think I'm lying sometimes because I never really did anything that bad, other than just being a young, energetic boy. But then I realized too, after a little while, that good feeling kind of went away. And I still felt bad, wrong, judgmental for the things that I did in the past. And it was this philosophy that really helped me learn to release them for good. On the thought that I'm always doing the best I can with what I have and where I'm at. And I'm not that person anymore. And the goal is, when we realize we do make a mistake, whether it hurts ourselves or someone else, to learn from it. To evolve in love to being a better version of ourselves. Now, on the flip side of that, another experience I had was it was just a random weekday. I was driving here in Las Vegas. It was night. I recall the street I was on, and I don't remember where I was going. And I had an odd thought in my head, and I heard it audibly in the sense that, and like a thought though, and it said, "Joe, I forgive you." And I was like, that's an odd thought to be thinking as I'm just driving wherever. And then I heard it again. And then I felt intuition, a very strong impulse to say it out loud. And so kind of half like feeling weird, but I'm the only one in the car. So I was like, "Joe, I love you. I forgive you." And I kind of felt something. I wasn't sure what it was. So I was intuitively, I wanted to do it again. And I did it again. "Joe, I forgive you." And then I was looking at myself in the rearview mirror when I said it. And that's when I really, and I'm just going to say, felt it, whatever it was. But I'm not too much of a man to say that I started crying by myself. And it wasn't a crying because I was sad. It was like a releasing moment. And I just kept saying it. "Joe, I forgive you. Joe, I forgive you." And that was one of those moments of what I would describe as a very high level of love that I felt. I felt loved. I felt lighter. I felt peaceful. I have no idea why it happened then and there. I don't remember going through anything in that particular life where I was, just life. And my takeaway from that was the freedom that I felt, the love that I felt, and knowing the power of forgiveness. Just how simple is that? Say your name and say that you forgive yourself. There's a practice to use this week, and get there. I would love for you to do that, practice that, and share your experience. Right. And I believe forgiveness, again, is a process. So if you can't do it right away, I am now willing to forgive myself. "Joe, I am willing to forgive you now." Or "I'm working my way to forgiving you now." That still feels more empowering than just feeling stuck. So affirm with me. Say out loud, "I am willing to forgive myself. I am willing to forgive myself." And feel that. It's a good feeling. It's cleansing, isn't it? The more we choose to love ourselves, the more we can love others. But we got to clear this gunk out first. And that's all it is, gunk. It's not permanent. It's not who we really are. Richard Rohr says, "Like any true mirror, the gaze of God receives us exactly as we are, without judgment or distortion, subtraction or addition. Such perfect receiving is what transforms us. Being totally received as we truly are is what we wait and long for all our lives. All we can do is receive and return the loving gaze of God every day. And afterwards, we will be internally free and deeply happy at the same time." Now, I underline this because as I was reading this, and even every time I read this, it reminds me of how I felt in the car when I said, "Joe, I forgive you. Joe, I love you." It was just perfect. And I felt loved is the word, but I felt received, if that makes sense. It's, some words it's hard to explain. And that I was longing for that feeling and I didn't even know it. Right. If you had asked me a little before that, do you feel like you need to forgive yourself? I'm like, no, I'm cool, So, again, all we can do is receive and return the loving gaze of God every day. Now there's a process right there. So when we choose to love ourselves unconditionally, again, we can love others unconditionally. And in our CSL teen camp, and I kept trying to find the name of the song, and maybe I'm sure somebody can correct me, but some of the lyrics go like this. Oh, I actually have a slide on this. I created a slide. "I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much. so you can start loving me. All right, see the circle there? It starts with us. By loving ourselves, we can love others. By loving others, others learn to love themselves, and then they can start learning loving us because they now have it for themselves. It's just a beautiful, and I'm gonna keep searching until I find it. And please feel free to email me if you know the answer. I'm sure somebody out there does. So life is inspiring, right? Start now, loving more, loving ourselves more, loving each other more fully. Begin to recognize that life is filled with love and choose to begin to see it everywhere you go. Because the more we see love in the world, that means the more love we have within us, the more our eyes, our goggles are tuned to the frequency of love. And that's what shifts the world. And our decision to commit to loving ourselves fiercely creates a ripple of love around this whole universe. Remember, we're all connected. So and I truly believe just by myself and that experience in the car, I believe that shifted things, not just for myself. In her book, A Return to Love, Marianne Williamson says, love is the essential existential fact. It is our ultimate reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others is the meaning of life, right? And in essence, another way of saying that is whatever we're doing, do it with love. That's the purpose. And if we all did what we loved, what a perfect world it would be. Instead of trying to be something we're not or live up to something for somebody else's reasons, that we learn to love ourselves so much that we actually live for ourselves. And you're going to say, oh, well, that sounds selfish. Yes, it is selfish. Selfish that I'm going to selfishly keep my vibration tuned in, tapped into to love, to joy, to laughter, to passion, to inspiration. I'm selfish that way because what do I know then? Then I'm a beacon for that. So, call to action. Right? Developing and maintaining spiritual practices is a wonderful way for us to continue to remain grounded in spirit and in its expression as who we are. And a practice of self-love is being you. We talked about, last month, kind of what inspires us and so forth, and purpose and passion. And do those things that make you feel passionate, because that's love too. When you're loving what you're doing, then you're in the vibration of love. But I want to move deeper. And I can't remember if Gwen quoted the same person earlier or not, but Bell Hooks says this. She says, whether we are engaged in a process of self-love or of loving others, we must move beyond the realm of feeling to actualize love. This is why it is useful to see love as a practice. So we're going to practice loving this week, right? Yes, feeling good is the result of our knowing, of awareness that we're in that vibration. And it's not doing things just because, I want to see a smile on your face, which is part of it. But recognizing truly that love, as I share love with you, you share it with me, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And that's the world that I want to live in. And it may look different for you, right? Bring in the power of intention with whatever you choose to practice in self-loving. And then when you feel like you're ready, and if you feel it's your calling, become that model, like purposefully, passionately. Right. This philosophy, this science of mind and spirit, I keep hearing that it's like the best kept secret. And I'm tired of hearing that. And really, if we simply began operating through our best selves purposely, people would start going, I notice you're always positive. I notice no matter what happens, you don't really get too down. How do you do that? That opens the door for saying, well, I have these spiritual practices that I learn, and I have this spiritual center that helps keep me accountable and loves me as who I am. And I can keep going back and learn new things and so on and so on. And when we love ourselves out loud, folks, right? we're inspiring others to do the same. So it's just an invitation. I didn't have a roommate quote last week. I realized that. So I got one for you this week. I kind of mentioned it. Powerful. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Right? So in other words, if I'm not feeling it, what can I do? Work at it. I forgive myself. I love myself. I'm compassionate with myself, and so on. These affirmations that we say every week are a great and simple practice. So let's get to our affirmation and begin to practice out love. And I'm just going to say, I want to hear from more people. I really, really do. We share my email at the end of every service, and I want to hear all these positive things that are happening for you, because I know they're happening. I have no doubt that they're happening. And maybe you think it's too small, but I don't. Whether it's, I co-created wellness again the other day for myself. I was feeling horrible, and I just decided, no, I'm not going through this again. And by the next morning, I was great, went to work. And the night before, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to call in. And so when I heard myself say that, wait a minute, no, if I knew I was love in action, that I'm the divine, and I'm not coming from a place of ego, then I know that I am well. There's only one source of all, and it is a source of wellness. Thank you you see my email up there right now. Reach out to me. Let me know the good that's going on in your life, please. Please. All right, let's go to our affirmation. In case I don't know if you saw the first, this gentleman's shirt. When you love yourself, you find yourself, your true self. All right, today's affirmation. Let's take a breath. I have the courage to be who I am and love myself out loud. Another practice, if you so choose. So let's bring it together and close it in prayer. And I ask you to just hear my words, make them your words if you choose to. Just sit back and feel the vibration of love. I now allow love to be a word that only inspires life-affirming thoughts and feelings. It is no longer a trigger word for what went wrong or with who. No, I release all that with love. That is just no longer something that I no longer wish to experience. I now choose in this moment to be a loving example of love, to be a perfect example of divine joy, and to know myself as the same love that is God's love. It's not God and me, it is God through and as me. And I see a loving world. I see every single day the vibration of love and joy through works of kindness and compassion and understanding just continue to increase. I see a world of peace where people can have differences without having to settle them violently. Instead, they go within and they see that there's just one life being lived, and it is through love. And so we are love in action. This community of CSL St. George is a manifestation of divine love. Wherever you are hearing my voice, wherever you may be, whenever it may be, know that you are loved. Know that you are forgiven. You are forgiven. There is nothing out. If God is everything, there's nothing outside of God. And God always loves God. And you are that expression. You are spirit and expression. So, as spirit, I say, I love you. I forgive you. Now go and be, live, inspire yourself, and then inspire others. I choose to practice this love, this feeling, this vibration, this beingness in this forever now moment, trusting my intuition all along the way, because I know that, again, that voice that energy that pulls me, that speaks to me, that guides me is the very voice of my higher self, my higher being, spirit, God, whatever we choose to call it. And so now it's time to play because I'm in that vibration of love and joy. There's no fear here. There's no other here. It is just life being unfolded in the most magnificent way. And please affirm this with me by saying, and so it is. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Reverend Joe. I love all of the quotes always, and I had not heard that from Richard Rohr, so I will look that up. That really touched me.
As a dandy, right?
Yeah, so thank you for sharing, and I look forward to my homework for this week.
Practicing love, being love.
Yes, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Oh, so now we have some announcements. Our community care circle, you can see on the screen there the phone number if you need anything, if you need to chat, if you need to have someone reach out and contact a friend, please, they are there for you. Prayer requests you can see on the gmail.org. Our practitioners are so willing and loving to pray with you, for you. So please reach out, whatever we can do. Our noon conversation on Zoom is coming up in just a few minutes. Please join us. It's always a thoughtful conversation about what we've discussed and an opportunity to connect with each other. And again, as Reverend Joe said, the next in-person service is September the 10th. We open the doors at 10:30. Usually the coffee's on and brewed. So please come early and join us. The service will start at 11. Sue Fulmer's book club starts on September the 14th from 6 to 7. The book is entitled What's in the Way is the Way. So please call her, text her, go on to her website, and you can let her know your interest in joining the group. It's always a fun group. Foundations is coming 10 weeks starting on September the 16th. It's every Saturday for 10 weeks from 9 in the morning to noon, Mountain Time, our time. So please email so that you can let us know if you're interested in joining this wonderful class. Abundant prosperity, the law of circulation. We so appreciate you giving your loving support to CSL St. George. You can give by Zelle, which is a bank-to-bank transfer, which is my favorite. You can give online at the PayPal link or the website. You can see it on the website, and also just scan the little code, which makes it very easy, takes you right there. And also by mail. We appreciate the checks. And again, we appreciate all of the support you provide for us. Next month, Reverend Joe will be back in person, Love on a Spectrum. So please join us. If not, we will join you on Zoom. September 17th, Steph is back. She's been with us, 2 or 3 times. She's always a delightful speaker. So please plan on joining us for that talk. Now, Marina is going to pull all of this together for our closing affirmation. We're a small but mighty group. And here we are. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, life. Thank you. And for all those that have already said yes to foundations, you will be receiving an email this week. So look for that, please.
Wonderful.
Thanks for being here today, everyone.
See y'all.
Join us on Zoom.